Story 1. I had quite recently completed work and chosen to drop by the general store to get a few basic foods. It was a run-of-the-mill evening, and the store was clamoring with individuals, their shopping baskets banging over the tiled floors. Much to my dismay that I was going to encounter a genuine bad dream. As I wandered the passageways, I saw a particular sort somewhere off to the side. It was a tall, thin individual with a hood pulled low over their face. From the get-go, I excused it as somebody attempting to keep away from acknowledgement. However, something about their presence creeped me out. As I moved starting with one passageway then on to the next, I started to detect that this individual was following me. From the beginning, I attempted to excuse it, thinking perhaps they just had a similar shopping list as me. Be that as it may, as I enlivened my speed, they did as well, continuously remaining a couple of steps behind. My heart beat in my chest as I frantically attempted to shake them off. I even changed paths on numerous occasions, however they reflected everything I might do. The general store, when a position of solace and schedule, had turned into a maze of dread. I at last chose to stand up to them. I turned unexpectedly and confronted the puzzling figure, my voice shaking as I requested to know why they were following me. The hooded stranger just remained there, unmoving, their face clouded in shadows. A quiet hung vigorously in the air, broken exclusively by the far-off murmur of the store's refrigeration units. With a premonition, I understood I needed to find support. I surged towards the checkout paths, frantically looking for a store worker. Yet, as I arrived at the front of the store, I looked behind me and saw that the individual was all the while following me, their speed enduring. I waved to a clerk, attempting to sound formed as I made sense of the circumstance. The clerk's eyes extended with concern, and she immediately called the senior supervisor. In the interim, the hooded stalker kept on waiting, apparently unfazed by the looming mediation. The supervisor moved toward the more abnormal, requesting that they leave the store right away. That is when things took a really upsetting turn. The individual gradually lifted their head, uncovering a frightful, bland veil underneath the hood. It was a clear, featureless face that sent a flood of dread through each and every individual who looked at it. Without expressing a word, the covered figure turned and strolled towards the exit. The director and a safety officer followed intently behind, guaranteeing they left the premises. As they vanished into the evening, I couldn't resist the opportunity to feel a combination of help and fear. What was the motivation behind that eerie experience? What had spurred this individual to follow me with such assurance? Right up to the present day, I can't shake the inclination that I barely got away from a terrible destiny at the grocery store. I've shared this story as an advance notice as well as a request. Consistently pay attention to your gut feelings, and never wonder whether or not to look for help in the event that you feel compromised. Grocery stores might appear to be protected, yet some of the time, the obscurity can find you even in the most ordinary of spots. Story 2. It was only a normal night when I chose to drop by the nearby store to get a couple of basics. The store was generally calm, and I didn't respect it until I saw a weird figure hiding in one of the walkways. Clad in a worn-out cover and with rumpled hair, the individual appeared to be awkward in the midst of the conveniently coordinated racks. I attempted to shake off the uncomfortable inclination and kept shopping. However, I couldn't resist the opportunity to see that this individual was following me from one passageway to another. Each time I looked back, their cool, unblinking eyes locked onto mine. My heart began to race, and a feeling of fear started to wash over me. I advanced toward the checkout counter, expecting to put some distance between us. Yet, as I went after my wallet, I understood it was absent. Alarm set in as I remembered my means through the store, frantically looking for my wallet. I was unable to shake the inclination that the individual was some way or another answerable for its vanishing. At the point when I was going to surrender, I detected my wallet on the floor of an unfilled passageway. As I bowed down to get it, a chilling voice murmured in my ear, "You dropped this." I pivoted to find the individual standing simple inches away, their breath hot against my neck. I stammered my thanks and immediately withdrew to the leave, my heart beating in my chest. Be that as it may, the bad dream was nowhere near finished. As I advanced toward the parking garage, I understood that my vehicle keys were missing as well. Maybe this individual had some ghostly command over my possessions. Distress grabbed hold of me, and I moved toward a safety officer to make sense of the circumstance. He consented to assist me with searching for my keys and watch out for the secretive figure. We looked through the whole store, yet my keys were mysteriously gone. The individual had disappeared like a phantom. Feeling crushed, I chose to call a locksmith to assist me with getting into my vehicle. As I paused, I really wanted to ponder who this individual was and what their goals were. Why had they designated me, and how had they figured out how to take my wallet and keys without me taking note? The locksmith showed up, and as he dealt with my vehicle, I saw a flash of development somewhere far off. Yet again there, behind a line of shopping baskets, stood the individual, their eyes fixed on me. I called attention to them to the locksmith, who looked similarly however scared as I seemed to be. With my vehicle at long last opened, I burned through no time in moving inside and heading out, abandoning the agitating presence. I at absolutely no point ever saw that individual in the future, however their face and those eerie eyes are always carved in my memory. Thus, Reddit, that is my upsetting general store shocking tale. Right up till now, I can't make sense of who that individual was or what their aims were. However, one thing's without a doubt, I will always remember that evening at the general store. Story 3. It was a regular Friday night when I wound up in the fluorescent lit walkways of my local grocery store. I had a shopping list close by, a psyche loaded with end of the week plans, and positively no suspicion of the horrible that looked for me. As I walked around the recognizable walkways, I saw a man a couple of feet away. He was wearing worn-out garments, with wild hair and a messy facial hair growth. From the start, he seemed like some other customer, yet something about him put off a disrupting energy that creeped me out. I dismissed it as suspicion and proceeded with my shopping, sporadically looking toward him. Be that as it may, each time I looked, he was by all accounts creeping nearer, continuously keeping in touch. Maybe he was concentrating on everything I might do, analyzing my spirit. The general store wasn't especially packed that night, and I started to feel a developing disquiet. I enlivened my speed, however he matched all my means. At the point when I transformed into the grain path, he stuck to this same pattern, his presence approaching unfavorably. I chose to defy my apprehensions and went to the clerk, trusting that he'd simply cruise by. In any case, sadly, he joined the line right behind me, his eyes never faltering from me. My heart beat like a drum, and I frantically needed to get away from his look. As I paid for my food and rushed towards the leave, he stuck to this same pattern, actually shadowing everything I might do. Alarm flowed through my veins as I thought about this man following me home. I chose to make a diversion to a close-by bistro, trusting he'd surrender the pursuit. Inside the cafe, I requested a latte and claimed to be engaged in my telephone, meanwhile watching out for the entry. Minutes transformed into what felt like hours, yet he won't ever enter. A flood of help washed over me, and I assumed I had effectively sidestepped him. Yet, similarly as I accumulated the mental fortitude to leave, he was right there, remaining at the entry. He hadn't requested anything, he just remained there, gazing, his look puncturing through my spirit. I felt uncovered, helpless, similar to prey being pursued. I realized I was unable to remain in that bistro everlastingly, so I chose to make a run for it. I overlooked a couple of dollars, snatched my sack, and darted out the entryway. My heart hustled as I ran towards my apartment building, supplicating he wouldn't make up for lost time. As I arrived at my structure and bobbled for my keys, I heard strides behind me. My hands shuddered, and I at long last figured out how to open the entryway and rush inside. I forcibly closed the entryway and locked it, my breath worn out and my heartbeat dashing. For what felt like an unending length of time, I remained there, looking through the peephole, hanging tight for any indication of the man. Be that as it may, he never showed up. Maybe he had disappeared like a phantom. I didn't rest that evening, continually looking at my windows and entryways. The following day, I detailed the episode to the police, however without an unmistakable portrayal or any strong proof, there wasn't a lot they could do. Yet again I actually shop at a similar grocery store, however I'm dependably on guard, expecting that I could experience that vile presence. A chilling update. Even in the most everyday of spots, obscurity can prowl, holding on to break our feeling that everything is good. In this way, individual Redditors, be wary out there, and consistently pay attention to your gut feelings. No one can tell when a standard outing to the general store can transform into a genuine harrowing tale.